Okay, so welcome back. As I was just saying to Danny off camera, we're doing really well here. We're getting to test all the different technical eventualities with these platforms, and hopefully we carry on rolling with it. And we're the swans paddling very fast beneath the surface, and we can put on a great show for you. So what we're going to do now is it's the last presentation of today. So it's Danny Singer. And we're going to be looking from Noetica. So we're going to be looking at human process automation. So the cyborg contact center agent. So very much a thing of the future, but available today. So Danny, over to you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to be talking mainly about call center and contact centers. So just to narrow it down, so we're not talking about human process automation generally in the world, but in the context of contact centers. I'm going to start from the concept of RPA, which really has taken off in the last 2 or 3 years quite a lot, particularly in contact centers. So I'm going to start with a definition of what RPA actually is. Robotic process automation is, according to this definition, the use of software with artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities to handle high-volume, repeatable tasks that previously required humans to perform. So basically, we're taking away from humans the things that are tedious, repetitive, and not particularly rewarding. So these tasks can include queries, calculations, accessing databases, transferring data between different applications, and generally following very simple repetitive tasks, removing all the sort of copy and paste kind of activities that call center agents need to do, updating systems in the background, and so on and so forth. Basically, RPA itself consists of software robots or bots that effectively mimic human information worker. So we look at, analyze the performance of contact center agents over thousands of transactions and see, look, all of them need to copy this piece of data, paste it into this system, and do that. Well, we can automate that. And this could be a lot more complicated. You can actually begin to use artificial intelligence in this. However, this is what this does. So does this mean that agents are now becoming redundant? Does it mean we can replace them all with robots? Well, clearly the answer to that is no. However, the reason the answer is no is because although RPA is there, it's actually designed to eliminate the more tedious, repetitive, routine tasks. So here's some examples, accessing a web service, retrieving information from an external data source. For example, if you're doing a sort of insurance call, you may want to access the DVLA database and pick up information about a car. Well, you can do that within the context of a call. That's a bit of automation. So the agent doesn't have to go on a website and do all that kind of stuff. The system can do it for the agent. However, it's just one bit of that process. Getting information from one system, using it to perform a transaction in another. This is something that agents in contact centers have been doing for a very long time. Having 10 different systems on their screen and having to juggle between them. Or automatically synchronizing several disparate systems as changes occur. So if I'm making a change into a CRM system, that they may automatically change an ordering system, for example. So all these things can be automated these days. However, what RPA processes are, they are simply shortcuts. And what they do, they reduce the dead air and time waste in the contact center. This is a time when an agent would say, please wait, hold on while I'm checking your records, that kind of stuff. So handling a complete call from hello to goodbye requires a little bit more than what RPA has to offer. So it requires empathy, listening skills, the ability to follow end-to-end and often complex business process. So as a result, it requires a procedural framework within which RPA processes and other tools combine to deliver consistent, effective, and efficient navigation of customer conversations. So this sounds a bit of a mouthful. What this means is that there needs to be a system that can assist the agent going from beginning to end and put all these RPA shortcuts, all these ducks in a row. So let's look at today's contact center agent. Okay, they are sitting at the center of all kinds of stuff that they need to know and they need to use. First of all, they need to be very familiar with all their line of business systems that a company throws at them. So there will be some customer-built applications that have been built historically over time. There'll be CRM systems, there'll be ordering systems, there'll be appointment systems, and so on and so forth, which they need to learn and be familiar with. Then there's a whole bunch of procedures. You know, what do you do in case A? What do you do in case B? If you need to raise an accident claim, that is a big process. If you need to process some kind of a complex sale, that's a process. So all these things are basically trained into agents using extensive training. Some contact centers can take months to actually get an agent to full speed. What happens when they get confused? Well, then they can actually get, these days, they can get some artificial intelligence agent assist that basically will guide them and will actually bring them back onto the path. But more often than not, there will be a human agent that will assist them doing that in their headset, helping them along, saying, look, you've deviated from the process, you need to do this, you need to do that. And sometimes even barge into the call and take it over. So this is, all this stuff needs to basically sit in this poor contact center agent's head and make sure that she remembers all that stuff as it's getting updated continuously. So what we're looking at here as a solution to all this is to actually create a process map that takes an agent from hello to goodbye in a variety of different routes, possible routes that this can take. And in the process, behind the scenes, use RPA processes or shortcuts to actually communicate with all these backend systems and also deliver agent assist in the contextualized form. So basically knowing where you are in the process, the artificial intelligence assistant can be a lot more focused and relevant. In the process of doing this, you also have all these procedures that needed to be remembered in the agent's head are now residing within the process map, so they're there to support the agent. Less training is required because all this information does not need to be trained because it can be modified in the process and the agent can simply act upon it. And there's less confusion, therefore less need for a live agent assist, human agent assist supervisor to come in and help during a call. So, how is this possible? How can this work? Right. Well, to do this, we'll need to revisit some quite surprising technology that's been around for quite a while, but it's been rather misunderstood. So we're looking at something that was, people recoiled in horror every time you mentioned the idea of call scripting. The idea, the problem of this technology was that it was always seen as trying to dumb down the agents, basically trying to tell them what to say. This comes from the simple idea of a script. The idea of a script being that it is something like this. By definition, a script, according to the Cambridge English Dictionary, is the words of a film, play, broadcast, or speech. So basically, what we're looking at here is a predefined dialogue, which leaves very little to the agent to use their initiative or indeed their own words. So this was clearly a very bad name for a technology. There was nothing to do with that. I mean, in some cases, it was misused, but in principle, it was nothing to do with telling agents what to say. It was always about an algorithm. Okay. Now, algorithms have been around for since the sort of 9th century AD, and they're basically, again, according to the dictionary definition, they're basically a list of instructions for solving a problem. So that's basically what you do in call centers. You actually sit there all day solving problems and go from hello to goodbye, doing exactly that. Now, the problem with using the word algorithm is that it can be a bit scary. It sounds a little bit sort of scientific. So let's try and use a different term, maybe the term of process. That's what we want to talk about. And process is very similar in the sense that a process is defined, again, dictionary definition, as a series of actions that you take in order to achieve a result. That sounds about right, because that's what you do in a call center, again, all day long. You take a series of actions and try to achieve a result. So we could call it whatever we want to call it, but we decided that time has come to call it human process automation. And what we're doing here is trying to identify two allegedly divergent things and bring them together. Because on one hand, for the last 20 years, all I've been hearing about call scripting is that it's actually trying to turn agents, living human agents, into robots. And this is why it was seen as a bad technology or unnecessary technology. On the other hand, for the last 5 to 10 years, we've been hearing the other thing around. We've been hearing that what we're trying to do with artificial intelligence, machine learning, RPA, is to actually turn robots into humans, to actually try and make robots sound and look more like humans. So therefore, you can remove a lot of the human work from, or the manual work from the contact center world. In effect, these both these directions have been converging towards what I call the cyborg agent, is the assisted agent. It's an agent whereby the artificial intelligence, machine learning, RPA take a huge part in what they do. However, the call scripting is the orchestration tool that actually brings it all together and allows them to navigate through all this. So, you know, there's definitely these two trends have definitely been happening, particularly the one that takes robots, basically computer bots, and turns them into more and more human. I mean, the latest development into this is that the development of artificial emotional intelligence. This is the last thing that I've read in the last year being developed. Now, are we actually developing robotic psychopaths in the sense that we are emulating emotion while clearly there's no emotion there? I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think that perhaps that's taking it a little bit too far in this direction. So, in other words, what we're looking at here is that human agents are not replaced, but they are assisted and supported by a sort of robotic assistant. And we can therefore think of call scripting in its wider sense as human process automation, with the artificial intelligence, machine learning, and RPA sitting behind the scenes and providing shortcuts in this algorithm that a call script effectively is. So let's go a little bit deeper into this. The evolution of call scripting and by sort of incorporating RPA and artificial intelligence into it will enable call centers to, first of all, rapidly deploy and control new activities with minimal agent training. It will also allow contact center to reduce training times and deliver such training remotely for new agents. It will allow them to easily monitor, rectify, and enhance remotely the agent patterns of behavior. Now, this is particularly useful if you're now talking about a distributed workforce. In this year of COVID-19, it is hugely important, since I think about 80% of all contact center agents are now working from home, that you are able to monitor, rectify, and enhance remotely agent patterns of behavior. Ensure consistency in handling of calls, particularly when people are home working. So they all handle calls according to the same principles, and they don't start to deviate into their own sort of personal style of running the business. Agent, of course, feels supported and empowered to be successful in handling calls with confidence. So basically, they know that not only they've got a robotic assistant, they also know that they are in the middle of a process that will tell them exactly what the next thing is they're supposed to be doing. You can easily modify call handling processes rapidly without the need to retrain remote agents. So basically, if a process changes, if suddenly the business needs to do something different, then you don't need to retrain the agents, just change the process and simply notify everyone that the process has changed. You can also increase call capacity by increasing first-time resolution, which obviously is something that is easily achieved through this kind of technology. So how does this work? Let's look at these two actors here. We've got the person that can design these processes, right? So you need a visual user interface that allows you to design these algorithms, these process maps that can lead an agent from hello to goodbye through a variety of different routes. So this is the person that can design these things. They get instructions from the business. The business will inform them of changes that need to take place in the logic or in the way in which the process needs to progress. The same algorithm or process also will have access to all the line of business system and the RPA mechanisms, so that in between different instructions that the agents can see in front of their eyes while they're running the system, these processes happen behind the scenes. So things that are repetitive, as I mentioned at the beginning, things that are routine, are handled behind the scenes by the process. The agent doesn't even have to see them. So when these processes are executed, all the agent sees is a single unified front end that basically allows them to interact with the customer. It provides them steps going forward and allows them to control everything else at their fingertips. They don't need to see any of the other systems and processes that happen in the background. So in principle, this is how this works. What is the relevance of all this to a distributed workforce? Well, as I mentioned before, new processes can be deployed and modified remotely with minimum need for agent training. No new documents or manuals need to be written, maintained, and distributed, particularly if you've got home workers or agents working in a distributed way around the country or even around the world. You do not have to keep distributing information, making sure they have the time to read it, to absorb it, and test them on their knowledge, because this information is automatically delivered through the process as they handle calls. All that agents need, apart from telephony, is an internet connection and a browser. That's quite important. That is essential to home working or distributed working. And agents can be easily and remotely multi-skilled in the sense that they can handle a variety of different types of calls they don't need to be specialized in one area, because the process will help them go through as long as they know how to follow a process and they're familiar with the user interface, they can handle any type of call. And adherence to business processes can be easily assessed and accurately measured. This is important because as agents go through these processes, they leave a trail in a database, which basically allows them to allows the supervisor and reports and quality assurance managers to actually see how well agents are following these processes. Now, this type of technology is available now, and we've been using it extremely successfully since the beginning of this year, when this dreadful pandemic has hit the world. So customers that have been using this technology for the last few years suddenly saw the benefit of it overnight, because they could easily move agents out from the call center into the homes simply without any difficulty. The only issue they may have had would have been things to do with their internet connection, the Wi-Fi, broadband, and things like that. And as long as telephony can be driven, then applications can easily be delivered even through the mobile network. As you know, you've seen in the previous presentation, the mobile network is getting better and better, and therefore you can deliver these applications on tablet, for example, and as long as telephony is delivered, you've got a contact center agent up and running. So we have been doing this for a very long time. We have been developing technology at Noetica that provides this kind of functionality, and we've been doing this for years. We just haven't been calling it the right thing. So in essence, we provide three types of technology. We provide all in the contact center context. At the foundation of everything, there's a telephony system that delivers SIP telephony and everything that you would expect out of a contact center telephony system, modern call recording and ACD and IVR and so on. Then we have our predictive dialers with a variety of patented technologies that we provide. But on top of all that, we have always been providing this sort of unified agent desktop based on visual call scripting. But we always felt a little bit uncomfortable about this name of call scripting. So now what we've done, we simply replaced that thing with the new concept of HPA. We have been integrating this with an artificial intelligence, real-time voice analytics engine that allows us to provide robotic agent assist to the agent as the call is progressing, that is looking not just at the process they're following, but it's looking at emotion and sentiment within the call itself, and can detect when things get slightly out of hand, and it can offer us suggestions as to, you know, tone of voice, speed of talking, and so on. In addition to all that, we can actually deliver this in a way that is cloud-based, so it's completely not dependent on physical locations, and it allows people to develop visually these processes and drive them through and modify them as required. So in principle, this was the message that I wanted to deliver. It is the idea of an agent that is concerned mainly with listening to people, having this sort of soft skills that are required of a human in this interaction, while allowing this process mapping to deliver all these robotic processes that used to actually take the time and the concentration of the agent away from the customer and handle those behind the scenes. So you don't need to remember 25 different systems. You don't need to ensure that you remember what the process said on page 25. You don't need to remember all this stuff. You can actually concentrate on what the person is telling you, be able to follow a process, and be able to deliver a service a lot quicker and in a manner that is a lot more friendly to the people that you're talking to in a contact center. From my point of view, that's all the message I wanted to deliver. So I will be open to any questions now.
Okay, thank you, Danny, for a very interesting presentation there. Just seeing if we've got any initial questions on the chat. None at the moment. So if anyone does have any questions, please do add them to the chat stream, and we'll happily see if we can answer them for you. There was one question, Danny, which is about the bookshelf. Is that a backdrop, or is it a real bookshelf?
It's a real one.
So there you go. So that answers that question that I had texted to me whilst the presentation was going on.
Yeah. And the next question will be, have I read them all?
So the answer is?
Most of them.
Well, we're working on it.
Yeah.
Okay, Danny, if you want to turn the screen share off as well, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay, I think there's no question. So, what would you say were the biggest challenges in implementing change from your perspective, Danny?
I think the biggest challenge we've found so far, before this year has been a crazy year. We all know that. The biggest challenge we found until this year was a misunderstanding of technology. It was always thought that building applications or scripts for agents to follow was a sort of restrictive and bad practice in many ways, trying to limit agents' freedom and so on and so forth. What this year has proven, apart from a lot of bad things, has proven one good thing, and that's people have suddenly seen the benefit of it. Mm. The benefit of actually being able to instantly change a business process when you've got 200 agents working from their homes without actually having to even talk to them. You can actually modify a process, change a product line, change the way in which you provide help. I mean, we've been dealing quite a lot with the sadly perhaps not the most popular thing at the moment, which is the track and trace system, sponsored by the government. But we've been mainly dealing with the trace side of it, and being able to deploy thousands of agents overnight, and being able to give them processes to follow, which a couple of our customers are doing, has basically shortened that process dramatically. So they were able to put agents in their homes, delivering tracing in a matter of days. So suddenly this whole idea of the fact that there is a way of defining easily and deploying a process for contact center agents is suddenly not such a bad thing. Mm. So there's been a change of thinking. Suddenly this technology is seen as a positive rather than a negative.
And of course, the situation has forced the change, right? People having to adapt.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's exactly it. People have suddenly realized, they realize that maybe they can work from home. They realize that maybe they don't need the plush offices in central London. They've realized a lot of things that necessity has imposed on them. And this is one of them. It's like, this technology has been around for a long time. Obviously, it's evolved over the years, and we can now integrate with artificial intelligence and machine learning and all that kind of stuff. But in principle, it's the same idea, is that an algorithm can be deployed to solve people's problems in a contact center environment. It's not rocket science. It's just there's a nice way of doing it.
Okay, thank you. I don't think there's any more questions, so that brings us up to actually bang up to time for the finish of the first day. So, Danny, thank you very much for the presentation. Really enjoyed it, and just a plug for tomorrow, really. So, if you get a chance at the end of the day, please do visit the booths. I know there's a lot of partners there and great technology on show. So please do take some time to look at what's there and get any specific questions answered. We've got a great day planned for tomorrow, and similar sort of format. So we've got keynote in the morning with Amy, and very much looking forward to this. This is the value in design system. So some really good insights there from Amy, following a time with GDS. Colleague from Britannic, Gil, looking at really taking some of the aspects that I was talking about today a lot further. So looking at automation to support really savings and efficiency within business models. Presentation from Avaya, so looking at integrate and collaborate and the role of APIs to bring this together. And then we have another client that's presenting tomorrow. So a controversial topic is the customer phone call consigned to history as a result of COVID-19. So that will be the morning session. And then once again, we've got a packed afternoon session. So Alex from BizView looking at innovating and optimizing business operations. A talk from ExpoE looking at the role and availability of networks to support critical applications. And then we'll be wrapping up with Calabrio looking at workforce management. So how you can move from survive to thrive in the new world, and actually the role of workforce management to manage and understand the remote workforce. And it's more than just voice. We live in a world with a whole load of different digital interactions. So hopefully that will be another great day. I'd like to thank everyone for attending today. I'd like to thank the presenters. You've done a great job. It's been a new technology tool that we've been using, and we've taken these technical challenges and nuances in our stride, and great job from everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you to the Britannic team for once again putting on a great event. Great structure, great content, and thank you all for attending. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we'd love to welcome you back tomorrow. Thank you very much.